Talking Music with Big Andy. This week, the Hazy Janes are talking music with me, Big Andy. Hello, welcome to the podcast. Today I have with me Ellis and Bron from the Hazy Janes. Hi, guys.
Hiya.
Hi, Andy. Cheers for having us, pal.
Oh, no, thank you for being here. It's a pleasure. So you guys are from Halifax, is that correct?
Yes. Well, I live here in Halifax. Bron doesn't really live in Halifax, does he? But yeah, I live here in Halifax. Bron's up in the Dales. Somewhere in the
this is it, and Halifax has kind of been like a bit of a central point for like both our families, I guess, in a way going back. Like a lot of my family's from West Riding in Halifax, and Ellis and a lot of his family now are in Halifax as well. So it all kind of seems to have orbited a fab little city.
Right. And there's seems to be a big kind of movement up in like in the north of England at the moment, Manchester, Halifax, that kind of area. There's a lot of bands coming out of there at the moment, most of them rock based, and it seems like it's quite odd actually that there seems to have been this kind of growth of bands from that area at a time when it's impossible to go out and do gigs.
Wow, that's so true. It's so true. I think as well, what happens as well around us is that I think because of being, quite away from London and places like that, I think a lot of these cities build their own little like communities and scenes, to be honest. I think out of that then springs up a lot of bands. I think actually people are very supportive, and maybe it's a bit less intimidating than perhaps being down in London thinking, God, where do you start? If you're living in, I don't know, Croydon or somewhere, thinking, I mean, maybe it's different if you're there, but I wouldn't know where to start. Whereas I guess around near us and stuff, at least you think, oh, actually you've seen on a Facebook group something going on, you've seen on Twitter. I think it's quite easy to get involved in the scene. What do you reckon, Ellis? Do you think that's fair?
Yeah, I think right. I think to be honest, there's like loads of bands up here that are doing really well. Like like Blinders have come from Doncaster, and they're sort of like a Manchester-based band. The O'Reillys are from Halifax originally, so bands like that are sort of like making their own way through it all. And like a lot of them are north rather than south. Rule the north. Sorry, Andy.
No, that's fine.
We have to get it in there at some point.
It's fine. I've been called a soft southerner so many times. I get thinking of getting it tattooed. But
Definitely.
So you guys came together only a year or so ago. Is that correct?
I don't think it was even that, was it? It was probably like the thing is, I think I was in another two-piece beforehand, and that sort of like fizzled out or whatever. And then I really wanted to be in a band still. So the only drummer I knew that was any good was Bron.
I was waiting to go. The only drummer I knew was Bron. I was waiting for that.
Yeah. No,
I knew one guy, so you had to make it work.
So I sort of begged him to just. Well, I think we started, and it was just sort of going to be like I'll write some songs, you put the drums to it, sort of thing, and it just sort of ended up being the Hazy Janes, I guess. And I think that was around like September or October maybe last year.
It's crackers. This year's going so fast that it will be a year before we know it. So 10, 11 months now ago.
Wow.
Yeah, I forget it's even August. Yeah, I forget it's August. I feel like it's still January.
Well, I mean, to be honest, listening to your music, to the two videos you've got on YouTube, and listening to your music and that, there's no way you could tell that you guys haven't been together for years. because it is so tight and so professional.
Cheers.
I just I really love it because it's kind of got that old school rock feel to it, which I kind of grew up with. But there are elements of other bands and other things kind of in there. What exactly? What are your influences around music?
I'll let you start with this one, Bron.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's been the same thing that made us mates way back when we first gigged together about 4 or 5 years ago. And basically, it's anything that involves Jack White, really, Andy. So it's kind of
Right.
a case of we played a couple of gigs together in different bands and really, bonded over the fact that we loved anything that Jack White touched, really, to be honest, like right from White Stripes through to like the Dead Weather in particular and Raconteurs. So I think that's been a big thing all the way through, in the fact that, yes, it's guitar music, yes, it's rocky, but he kind of throws some curveballs. And so for us, that's been a big thing with our sound. And I guess, like, although we only got the 2 singles out, we've been keen to think, how can we, from the offset, try and really push it a bit, and a big thing's been in the studio. I guess, with the White Stripes, you wouldn't necessarily think, listen to the record, that they're a 2-piece, but the way they produce it, it sounds different. And I guess that's the allure of seeing them live, because the songs sound completely different. So I think with us, it's the same thing. It's very much in the studio, we'll throw keys on, any excuse to get a tambourine or a cowbell, and Ellis can really experiment layering his vocals. And then on the flip side, you see us live, and they kind of, we take bits of each layer and kind of incorporate that into the live version. So what else, Ellis, beyond anything Jack White related? What do you reckon?
I think we're just the English version of Jack White.
Yeah.
No, I think you're right. It's all come from that blues rock bands from America. There doesn't seem to be, like, we have the 2 pieces over here, like Snakes and Royal Blood and bands like that.
Yeah.
But they and they all sort of go with the same vibe, that like rock and heavy rock, a lot of synth on the bass and quite heavy. Whereas I think we've tried to make sure that I personally really like that sort of thing, but I think that for this, it's just our sort of what I'm trying to say here. I think what I'm trying to say is that we have a blues core
right. Yeah.
And we want to make sure that is in all of our music, if that makes sense.
Well, one of the things I found online was that there was a bit from I saw a bit from a kind of like a question and answer type interview where they asked you about your idea for a supergroup. And basically, you just listed Led Zeppelin.
Oh, that was brilliant. And I'm sure we put something on there that we took off, didn't we, Ellis? There was something like, oh yeah, that rings a bell about, and we'll give you the exclusive, Andy. On that particular interview, there was one thing about a band that, what was it, Ellis? It was some question to do with what band wouldn't you like to sound like, or give us 3 reasons why they should see you live. And I'm sure we put something slightly mildly controversial about Royal Blood on there. But that's another story. But no, literally Led Zeppelin. I mean, super.
I mean,
so, yeah.
It's always been something that Jack White has said was a big influence on him back in the day. So I mean, it doesn't surprise me at all, even that, to be honest. And you can definitely hear the influence of Jack White in your music. The other thing it came to mind to an extent, not hugely, but a bit, was Queens of the Stone Age. I could hear a bit of that kind of work in there as well. But so your first single, which was where are we? Yellow Belly Blues.
Aye.
Was last year, yeah, came out. You did that last year. Where, I mean, have you been recording everything at home on your own? Have you been to studios to record stuff, or what have you been?
We sort of like, I think that was the first real time where we thought this is actually going to be a thing. So I'd written that riff like quite a while before Hazy Janes for my previous band, and I still really liked it throughout all of last year in lockdown and stuff. And when I started talking to Bron, I sent him it, and he was like, "Mate, this is really cool." And I think after that, it just sort of gave me a bit of inspiration to actually go and write the lyrics and all that sort of thing. And then I think we literally just spammed each other with voice notes over Messenger of like, you know, recordings and how we want certain parts of the song to sound, and influences from other things. So like it's almost like an older classic rock song is more like longer vocals. Like this one's quite quick vocals on each verse, so we wanted to make sure that was the modern vibe to it. And then it's still got the whole, you know, Yellow Belly Blues and the riff and all that, which is very classic rock. So I think all of that just came together over some voice notes. I don't think we've even had a practice at this point.
This is it.
I think that we did have, I think we had a quick practice before, a couple of weeks before, when like, you know, lockdown and all that. I think that had eased at one point during last year, so I think we managed to get a practice in at that point before it all went tits up again. But then I think we managed to get in the studio pretty soon after doing that, and yeah, we just managed to bash it out.
It's a really good song. I really like it. It's got a great feel to it. The whole atmosphere of it, it's kind of it's really weird. It's kind of this because of the short lyric thing. It's kind of got an intensity to it, which then, when you come to the riff and the Yellow Belly Blues part, kind of opens up and kind of expands a bit, and it's a really interesting sort of dynamic for the song. I really like it. Really
cool.
do.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
And then the second single, which came out, was it this year? Blow Off the Dust.
Was it April that we released that? Was it?
Yeah. I mean, in the same way that we put Yellow Belly Blues together, I think the big thing with that was that it didn't get played live. So that was a big thing for us, Andy. I guess previous bands have always had opportunity to kind of knock it out live and, you know, see how it falls. And, you know, Yellow Belly, we didn't have that luxury, but equally, I think that was quite fun, actually. You know, you had to just trust your instincts a lot of the time. And maybe that's the reason it was 2 minutes long. You know, we kept it pretty short and sweet, you know, and then, we Blow Off the Dust again. This is, coming into April. So, I mean, things did start to ease, which allowed us to practice more regularly, and probably by regularly I think that turned into once a month, Ellis. It wasn't necessarily like every week, but I mean it was still a bit of progress for us. And that one was a riff that Ellis, again, he'd got big kind of low-endy dirty edge to it, and this kind of sleazy like soundtrack almost in it that felt like it could be on some kind of mafia film or something, or like Peaky Blinders. But originally it was much slower. It was quite a slow song, and then when we thought we'll pick this up as the single, it ended up picking up in pace a bit. Again, throw a few curveballs. We really want to do something different in the bridge, so it's got that kind of more upbeat section, and the the killer vocals in there and stuff. But yeah, so no, it was very much one based around a riff, but again, just throwing more keys in, experimenting a little bit more on the bridge. So yeah, that was it.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
We had a bit of fun with that, didn't we? At one point, I think we had a practice the day before the studio, and it was like 75% of the way there. We was a little bit worried. There was a point where we was thinking, let's just cancel the recording, not even do it. So we had that conversation, and I think it was a serious conversation over a coffee in the morning.
Very true. Yeah.
We just thought, I said, let's just do it and see how it gets. And I suppose it came out all right in the end.
Well, that's a good point. We do owe Mr. Johnny Hooker at Young Thugs in York, which is where we've recorded both the singles, and it's where we're going a week on Saturday to our third single. But he really helped craft that single for us, and I believe he did say that he had to dig deep on that one to really help us mold it together. Because I guess, you know, again, we hadn't played it live like Yellow Belly Blues. We hadn't practiced it extensively, so yeah, I think that was an opportunity where a third pair of eyes and ears really helped. So yeah, we do owe him for that one. But yeah.
When you say that we sounded tight, Andy, that really means a lot, because we didn't practice that one that much.
Oh no, I mean, both of them, they sound like you've been playing together for years, because you really, it gels so well. It's really good. I really like it. It's I have to be 100% honest here with you, right? And you may not like this, okay? I'm not the biggest fan of Jack White.
No, fair enough. Hey.
And the White Stripes, especially. But I really like what you've done, because what you've done is you've taken what you've got and you've injected a bit of that and a bit of like old school rock into your own thing, and it works really, really well. It's a good mix. I really like it.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
No, it's So you're going to record a third single in the next few weeks, yeah?
We are, yeah. We're going to be going back up to York at Young Thugs again. I think he's just as a bit of a a long way around. He's doing like a refurbishment to the place. So we're going to actually be recording on a barge, I think. Is that right, bro?
That's it, yeah. So the studio that we usually go to, that's run by it's Young Thugs, is going through a refurb, yeah. And so they've temporarily moved to a barge on the Ouse in York. So we'll be on there, and yeah, week on Saturday, single number 3.
Cool.
Music video in the works as well for that. So yeah. Okay.
So is the plan to do more singles and keep it at that for the moment, or do you plan on doing a full album, or what's your plans, as it were?
Me and Bronner, we regularly talk about plans. So I think we've sort of got a really, although it's still a little bit vague, it's still a bit hazy. We do have plans going all the way into next year. So I feel like we're quite on it with what we're going to do next, etc. So this single is going to be a live recording, so it's going to be quite different. It's going to be done in one take, so that'll be quite good. It'll just be as it is live as well, obviously, because it's a live recording. But we're not. What I mean by that is we're not going to add any keys or that sort of thing over the top of it. So it'll be as it is. So we're quite excited about that one. Although it's still got that element of risk there, which I quite like. But then after that, I think we're not planning on doing an album just yet, just because it costs a lot of money. And I think we'll probably look to. We're not dead set, but we would like to do an EP, but we'd also like to do some more singles. So we'd probably just seeing how things go at the minute. Singles are always a good idea anyway, aren't they?
This is it. I mean, it'll definitely all lead somewhere, as vague as that sounds. It's very much, there is a plan to the like schedule of singles, and I think, you know, we're conscious of not wanting to kind of fall into a gap where it's 2 years down the line and it's been like a single every couple of months. And you know, it's always nice that you can look back and people can go, that's, you know, with hindsight, go, well, those 2 singles and that led to that, and they were all on this album or EP. So you know, we're trying to take the long view and very much think about how we can use what we've put out, you know, in other ways in the future, whether that's, you know, re-releases or alternative versions or building them into a bigger release. But no, this is it.
Oh, it's cool. It's cool. And what about the live aspect? I mean, obviously, I'm assuming you want to get out there and play these things live. Have you been able to do any gigs so far, or?
Yeah, we've done. I think we've done 2. We've done 2. We've got quite a lot booked in for the next few weeks and so on. So we've done 2 gigs. We played at the Sydney and Matilda in Sheffield, which is a really nice little venue. If you're ever up there, and that was our first gig, and I think we was a little bit nervous on that one. I think funny story, the sound man and Bron didn't really see eye to eye, and I think the sound man, we did like obviously at a sound check you play a song, and the sound man sort of said that we don't sound like the Black Keys, and he said they're not allowed to play rim shots on the drums, and he said that I need to turn my guitar. He said a lot of things that were just a little bit weird, and we didn't really agree with that. And that was our first gig, so I think that set us off on a bad foot.
It was a good learning curve, I think, wasn't it? I think, you know, we very much, you know, we've got some very particular thoughts on how we sounded as a 2-piece, and like, to be fair, like, you know, we just took it on the chin and just played the best gig we could, you know, and stuff. And then I think then we played our second gig fairly recently in Mexborough, and that ended up being that was a really good confidence booster, I think, after that first one, because I think, you know, we'd built up to that one, been our first gig post lockdown, you know, taking some quite particular feedback. Even though the gig went well, I think, you know, when you get some quite particular feedback, we were a bit like, oh, you know, we took it on board to an extent, in one ear out the other, and then kind of carried on. But I mean, but no, I think as we move forward and stuff, we're feeling really excited about what the next few months hold. No, absolutely.
Yeah, that's it. We've got a gig at in Mexborough again for a little festival run by Jimmy Mack, who's helped out a few bands in the past, like Blinders and Avalanche Party and stuff. And then we're playing in Hull at the Adelphi. for a festival as well. So that'll be good.
Yeah,
I mean,
no, that sounds good.
We've got a headline show in October, the 1st of October in Halifax, actually, which will be our first hometown show, and that's within reach of selling out, I believe. So I mean, it's a small, cozy venue, but I think that'll be a really nice moment as well.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to think what else is in the pipeline. Leeds, back to Sheffield, York.
I think we're in talks
Hebden
to do
Bridge.
something. Yeah, Hebden Bridge. Yeah, I think we're in talks to do something down your end as well, Andy. At some point, that'd be really cool.
Oh, yeah.
Come down there.
Yeah, no, yeah, it'd be great. Yeah, I'd love to see you guys live. I'd like to know how you do it live. That's one of those things, you know. When you hear these things, you go, "It's only 2 people. How do they do this live?"
Well, what we do is we press play, and then it's as easy as that.
Yeah,
So
I've been in bands like that.
Best way.
More musicians on the backing tracks than there are on the stage. Fair enough. So I've got to say something to you. I was trying to find some information out about you online, and there isn't a huge amount. I've got to say that.
Mystery.
But what I did find, and I don't know if you know about this, is that there's another band called the Hazy Janes who are based in Dundee, but they spell their name with an E in it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more information about them because they've been around for a few more years. So I did get a little confused on a couple of occasions, and I thought, hang on a minute, this isn't right.
Brilliant.
Do you have any problems with that?
Not yet.
Yeah, touch wood, not yet. I think we did spot it, but yeah, it was a case of, I think, yeah, because they had the E in it, they were Scottish. Not that there's anything wrong with that. And then just the slightly different music. I think we kind of thought, oh, we can make this work, you know.
I also think that they've sort of, I don't know if they've stopped releasing music or whatever, but certainly on their social media, it doesn't seem like they're still there. Maybe they are. I'm not sure. I haven't really done that much research, but
I don't know.
But you know, if it comes to it, we'll just change it to the Hazy Johns instead.
Well, if you get signed by a major label first, then they can change it.
Yeah, they can do the legwork on that.
We just got to beat him to the finish line.
So, I mean, I know you were saying you've got plans and all this kind of thing. So, I don't know, glorious 5-year plan or whatever in 5 years' time. Would you like to see yourself sort of out there playing lots of festivals, touring the UK and Europe and maybe other places in the world?
Oh, that'd be a dream come true for me personally. You know, I don't, me personally, I wouldn't ever want to be, I'm not ever thought about being absolutely massive, but if I could play a show or a couple of shows overseas and do like a UK tour, like a full UK tour, that'd be a huge personal goal for me. 100%, yeah.
I agree. And I think it's that thing of neither of us necessarily like, oh, it's, you know, it's 5 years and it's sold out Wembley, but I think it's that idea of being able to go, right, we're going to do a tour off the back of a release, and we're going to go, you know, to some really off the beaten track cities, you know, in the UK. So not necessarily go, you know, just Manchester, London, wherever, you know, go to some smaller cities, be able to rock up there on Tuesday night and have 100 people in the room. I think that would be like a real big moment for us. So I think, 5 years, that kind of thing, good, strong following. I think, as Ellis says, Europe definitely, because I think they really appreciate the live music, and particularly the rock stuff over there. I think going to the States would be amazing. I think it'd be quite interesting. There's always been that thing of, there's a bit of a intrigue with it when it comes to English bands. I think American audiences particularly have that kind of extra interest. And I think leading towards a big major release, hopefully through a label, like we're working with some small labels at the moment, talking about some potential just things for like some single releases, but ideally if we could put out a major release through a label, I think we'd give ourselves a pat on the back and a can of Hazy Janes for that. But
I know you've been getting some radio play in Planet Rock played your stuff a few times, and some other rock channels have been picking up your stuff. Have you had any interest from labels through that at all?
I think we got quite a fair bit of maybe not like label interest, but we certainly got a bit of sort of like a bit of a fan base from there, because that was like huge. That, I mean, I never really expected it. You always send these emails to people and you think, I'm not gonna really hear back, and then they email back like the day after saying, this is great, I'm gonna play it on Friday, and then they play it a couple of days before. So it's like, you know, it was a big deal. But we've not really had much, I wouldn't say label interest, but we've definitely had some sort of you know, we got on some playlists and stuff on Spotify, which obviously is so that did really help.
That's good.
Definitely.
I think for us with, sorry, Andy.
No, I was just going to say that at the moment, the thing about it is building up a following, getting your name known around, getting people to listen to your music and you know, tell other people about it and that kind of thing, so that, you know, people become aware of who you are and what you're doing. Sorry, what were you going to say, Bernard?
Oh, no, I agree completely. And I think for us, because we don't have those kind of huge PR budgets to spend on ads and you know, placements wherever that would be, yeah, I think a lot of it has been we've been very fortunate just to get some decent things to come off the back of Planet Rock and all these kind of things that would have, you know, otherwise been really hard to get, especially like in the middle of that third lockdown and everything.
Yeah, I mean, lockdown has been great for people. Although interestingly, I found that there have been a number of bands that have said that it's actually helped them to kind of focus on the songwriting and focus on the actual kind of creative side of things, because because they're not spending so much time worrying about being out there and playing the gigs and organising the gigs. They've actually had time to sit back and sort of analyse what they're doing as a band and sort of like write their stuff to the way they want it to be.
I agree. I think that's happened to us as well. Like, you know, spending so much time at home, there's not a real lot you can do. I mean, you can play as much Call of Duty as you want. I don't really do that sort of thing, but yeah, I mean, writing music and just having a jam is so much more easier now, especially when you've got a full-time job as well. When you go back, you sort of, it sounds a bit odd, but you sort of miss that time that you had to just write a lot of music or just piss around on the guitar for 5 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely, I think it's helped in multiple ways, rather than just songwriting, as well as, like, you know, finding the image of the band and making sure you know where it's going, what it is, what the plans are and stuff. Just gives you more time to do all that thing.
Well, this is it. And I think for us as well, I don't know if you agree on this, but I wonder if we'd been put together in a non-lockdown time, I think we would have felt more under pressure to get gigging quicker, and perhaps the kind of thing of, oh, actually, we would have naturally got talking to people like contacts that we have about booking gigs, and, oh, lads, do you want a 30-minute support slot next week? And knowing us being like, oh yeah, sure. And we would have been under a lot of pressure actually to pull together a set quickly. And I think in the situation that we had, I think it gave us, right, well, it's not going to be, you know, gigging until 6 months time. We don't need to rush to put together a set. We can just take the time,
prepare
working on songs. So I think that's been a bit of a blessing in disguise out of a really pants situation.
I think it's helped like a lot with this sort of like new bands coming out of lockdown. It's like, you know, it's because it's been so long to have live music back. I mean, we've had football back and we've had sports events all back, when it sort of didn't really make sense, because, you know, they're all sat next to each other. When, why can't you just be stood next to each other at a gig? I don't really understand it. But the good thing about it is it's built up this massive hype over live music again in everywhere. You know, everywhere's buzzing about live music. It doesn't matter where you go. There's so many more people going to live music events that wouldn't have gone before. And I know for me personally, I didn't always actively go to these things, but now I feel like if there's something on, I'll go. Like, I was texting Bron last night saying I went to a jazz night. I would have never done that, you know, 3 years ago. It's one of them. It's just sort of like built up this hype of live music again, and it's good to see that everybody's getting behind it. And it's even now after lockdown stopped, it's still buzzing.
Cool. Yeah. No, I agree. It's an interesting thing. I was reading a thing that online, a friend of mine posted. Apparently, saying there was a guy was busking in Covent Garden, and it was only like last week, I think it was. He was busking in Covent Garden, and he looked up at one point, and there was a crowd of nearly 30 people watching him. And he said, "I'm just like a busker, just playing cover versions on the guitar in Covent Garden, but people just want to watch music, you know."
That's it. It's right. It's right.
Yeah. So, can I ask, how do you feel the set out? If you, I mean, you've got 2 singles. I'm assuming you maybe do songs from bands that you've been in before, or do you
it's
just
all
fill it with
fully
covers?
original now. So we've got like a full set of original music now.
All right.
Just because we've spent so long writing it all. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you then, Andy.
No, it's fine.
So yeah, we've managed to, like I said, the Yellow Belly Blues wasn't just the only one that we have exchanged a lot of voice notes over. We've done it for pretty much every single song that we've written so far. So I'll send Bron some lyrics or whatever, or Bron will send me a drum beat or whatever, and we'll sort of like create something off of nothing almost. And it's just sort of built up from there. So you know, we can add a few of. We've got quite a decent size set now where we can swap some songs around if we don't feel it particularly fits with that crowd, etc. So yeah, it's there's a few covers in there. You've got to add a few in there and every now and again.
People expect it.
Exactly. Yeah.
They like to hear something that they recognise. Yeah. But yeah, no, that's cool. I didn't realise you had a full a set of songs. That's great. I can't wait to hear more, to be honest. It's been fantastic talking to you. I hope that everything goes really well for you in the next few months with the gigs and all that kind of thing and the recording. And I hope to see more from you in the future. And I definitely want to come to see you live. If you let me know when you're coming down this way, and I'll see about coming along.
Yeah,
right.
Cheers, Andy. Thank you very much.
Champion. Hey, thanks for having us, Andy. Yeah, really appreciate it. And
No problem
hopefully
at
talk
all.
to you again sooner rather than later anyway, mate.
Yes, definitely. We definitely talk. I'll talk to you again when you're headlining tours and things.
Good man. Oh, so we'll chat next Wednesday then. That'll do. Tuesday, Wednesday. Perfect. Yeah. Good man.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
Champion. Cheers, Andy.
And thank you to anybody watching and everybody watching. And tune in again next time. Check out Hazy Janes. There will be links to their YouTube channels and their social media, as I always put on these programs. And thanks a lot. And we'll see you again soon. Bye.
Cheers.
Talking music with Big Andy.